the beautiful and wonderful Kim Tang.
Woohoo! Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, this morning you are doing me a favor. Thank you. Thank you in advance. Always I begin with love and gratitude. This morning, my gratitude is to you for helping me out. I just discovered, well, that's not true. About a year ago, I discovered that there's brand newly a TEDx chapter in Rancho Mirage. And about a year ago, when I found out, I had just come back from, my nationals event, and I found out about it and I missed it. I was like, because I've been wanting to give a TED talk for more than 10 years. Except it, first of all, I didn't know about it. It was brand new. And second of all, it was on the weekend of my nationals event and I couldn't have done it anyway. So at that time, I planted a seed. I got myself down there and I met with the coordinator of the TEDx chapter in Rancho Mirage. Hi, Eric. And I just made an introduction. I had coffee with him. I let him know me. I let him know about all the things I talk about. And then lo and behold, in March, applications opened for the TEDx Rancho Mirage chapter. Do you know how many applicants there are? Pick a number.
What?
500. 500 applicants.
Wow.
Listen now, on the one hand, I have some confidence that I'll be called. And on the other hand, what I want to talk about is so important and impactful to the whole of humanity that whether or not this is suitable TEDx content, and ultimately, of course, the big stage, whether or not it's suitable content, whether or not I'm selected for it, this is so incredibly important to me. I've taken the time to really, because you know that normally, like this, I get up and I talk. I go, how much time do we have? Set the clock, take a deep breath, and then we go, right? But of course, the TED platform is a little different. So I've taken my talk and I've put it into a real format. And for that reason, my eyes might be down on the page a little bit so I can check the timing. Spencer, maybe you'll time it so that I can kind of stick to the script to see if it's fluid. And I welcome your commentary at the end. I truly do. Anything you can do to help me make it better. I actually did that. I did this talk. I gave it to multiple beloveds, Spencer Yewin, Kerry Quincy, Lisa, and these people really took the time to read it and tell me ways in which they thought it could be better and better. And I integrated all the advice into the talk as best as I could. And so here we are, and I'm giving it a good run in front of people. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah. The theme of the TEDx chapter in general is called Under the Same Sky. And so that's the reference. I'm using it a couple of times in the talk for that reason. So if there are, some things here and there that seem like, where'd that come from? It's because it's formatted for the event. Okay. Under the same sky, every human being is navigating a nervous system that they, for the most part, do not understand. And what if I told you that much of what you simply consider your personality may actually be an adaptation of your nervous system, what you call your strength, your independence, or maybe even your ability just to hold everything together. But what if those are not merely qualities or aspects of your personality, but early survival strategies that you began mistaking as self? Because most of us were never given an operation manual for our nervous systems. And that misunderstanding may be shaping your relationships and even impacting your joy of life. He's laughing already. Okay, good. Yes to this. What if the very thing that you value the most about yourself may also be the thing keeping you stuck and stopped in your life? So do just notice what comes up for you as I ask. Is it your relentless strength? Is it your fierce independence? And is it your ability to hold it all together when everything and everyone around you is falling apart at the seams? I do invite you to lovingly reflect upon your own nervous system as we take the journey together. As head coach of USA Yoga and International Yoga Sports Federation, I've been working with what I call hearts and minds, spines and lives, and nervous systems. First my own, and then countless others for decades. But only, did that happen? Am I supposed to do that the whole time? I've been back here. Is that okay? Okay. But only recently did I have an experience that gave me language around something that I'd been living all along. And it happened very unexpectedly. I was on vacation on an island off the coast of Honduras, walking on the beach with my partner and his father. And I expressed to my partner how very lucky he is to have this particular man as his father. And then I realized how unusual this was for me, actually, to be on vacation with a father figure. And in that moment, and for the 10-day duration of the trip, a greater truth about my own life revealed itself to me through the lens of our talk today, nervous systems, and what I call capacity. And then an even greater realization that while all of this occurred to me in the form of my own details, this actually applies to the whole of humanity with their respective details. So why did that walk on the beach trigger an avalanche of realization and revelation? My father died when I was 9, but now, with a more mature hindsight, I realized that I had received very little parenting from my father long before he passed. And when he did pass, my mother, she struggled terrifically in any number of ways with being a young widow with 2 young girls in the 70s, no financial prowess, alcoholism. And she basically clocked out of parenting also. And so there I was, little blonde angel with a mother, but really very little parental guidance or support. And I realized I hadn't received stable, reliable parenting since I was literally like 6 years old. Safe to say, I had to overcome a lot of adversity in early childhood, moving into teenage years, definitely early adulthood. And of course, I learned to make my way in the world from accessing something deep within myself, my strength, a quality that I innately possess. And that was not pathology, that was adaptation. It was survival instinct, and it carried me through. As an adult, my strength became one of my greatest qualities, what I value the most about myself. I came to know myself as strong and later realized that I had built an identity around strength without understanding the interplay between nervous system adaptations and the adaptive identities we form around them. My strength had emerged as a survival mechanism in response to my circumstances. Many of us were shaped by our circumstances, encounters, environments through which we've come. From a very young age, we learn how to survive our circumstances. And this is how I have to be in this relationship. This is how I withstand these dynamics. And over time, these adaptations become something else. They become literally who we believe we are, a deeply imprinted aspect of our adaptive identity. So I'm the strong one. If I want anything done, I have to do it myself. My mother is always overwhelmed. I'll just be invisible. But what helped you survive your early environment is not always what allows you to thrive in your adulthood. These identities, they're not wrong. They may simply be outdated, although we still abide by them. Here's the evolution. That child who had to be strong becomes the adult who cannot ask for help or receive support. The one who learned to anticipate everything that could go wrong becomes the one who cannot relax or let their guard down. The one who walked on eggshells learns to be invisible. The one who learned to keep the peace becomes the one who cannot speak their truth or express their own needs and desires. What's important to understand is this isn't just a mindset or even your personality. This is something that lives as our very self-perception, deeply embedded in our nervous system, as a core belief we hold to be true about ourselves. And the majority of feelings that we experience are in response to our core thoughts and beliefs, which are often limiting beliefs, agreements made in fear, or outdated agreements that we still abide in. Because long before we had language around our early experiences, we had sensation, we had instinct, and we had a body that was constantly asking just one question: am I safe? And based on the answer to that question, the nervous system organizes itself. I cannot wait to talk to you after this talk. I'm glad it's hitting for sure. I appreciate the responses. Okay, it organizes our nervous system, how we breathe, how we hold ourselves, what you pay attention to, how quickly you respond or react or withdraw. So over time, what began as a moment of formation and adaptation becomes a pattern of relating to the world. And eventually, our patterns become so familiar that we don't even recognize them as patterns anymore. You simply call it you. Every human being is living with a nervous system that deciphers whether you feel safe enough to be fully present in your life. Now, when the nervous system is regulated or grounded, we have access to and availability for deep and meaningful connections, for creativity, for conscious choice, and full awareness on every level of being. But when your nervous system is dysregulated, we no longer respond, we react, and specifically from fear. Most of us don't even realize this is happening because we've become so practiced at functioning inside these states. So let's make this very simple. You can begin to recognize the state of your own nervous system by asking, how am I relating to this experience? And how do I react to what I call the most extraordinary moments, which happen to be at times the most challenging? The indications that you're in a regulated, grounded state are things like your breath, and even effortless. You can listen to understand without preparing your defense. You feel a sense of calm clarity, even in the moments of being triggered, and you're energized by your own engagement with life. You can receive without immediately bracing. And for some of us, that alone is a very advanced practice. You have access to choice from a highly conscious state, which always yields a better outcome. Now, you may be more in a more activated, dysregulated state if your thoughts are activating past experiences and projecting them into the future. For example, it happened before, it'll happen again. Or he's always been that way, he will always be that way. If your mind is moving faster than the body and you feel an urgent need to fix, control, or intervene from a panic state. If you're scanning for everything that could go wrong and your nervous system is reacting as if it already has. You're doing more, but you're feeling less. You're feeling more, but you're saying less. And it's all just absolutely exhausting. I appreciate the confirmation I'm seeing all over the room. You may be even more collapsed or depleted, dysregulated, if your thoughts are rooted in history of past negative experiences. If everything feels heavy or distant and you cannot stop ruminating, sleepless, you lack energy to engage even in the things that you care about. You withdraw instead of respond, if you feel numb, apathetic, or disinterested, and even simple tasks seem overwhelming. And in more extreme cases, you may feel completely disconnected from actually yourself, leaving the body. We call this dissociation. Now, here's where this becomes very important because we can begin to understand the behavior of others through their nervous systems and what I call capacity. Therefore, replacing our own tendency to judge or blame another with understanding and compassion. Capacity is your ability to maintain calm, clear presence with what's happening, no matter how intense the circumstances, without becoming completely panicked, reactive, avoidant, or withdrawn. And here's the truth. Capacity can only be cultivated from the regulated or grounded state, not when you're dysregulated, overwhelmed, and depleted. Now, this is where it becomes very nuanced. Some people have cultivated very, very high capacity from a very grounded, regulated state of the nervous system. They can manage intensity quite comfortably. They can stay present in moments of challenge. They can give, create, and respond with conscious clarity for the very highest solution possible. Now, there are others who have very small capacity and understand, not always their fault, as we discussed, often the consequences of their earlier circumstances that held them in a state where capacity could not be cultivated. And so now, still as an adult, they get overwhelmed very easily. They can barely handle their own circumstances, much less anticipate or attend to the needs of others. And then there's another category, and this one is very, very common. People who have trained themselves to function under chronic stress conditions. They can do a lot, but they're operating in chronic overwhelm. And just because they can does not mean they should. But it does defend their identification, egoic construct, as the strong one, the giver, the doer, etc. So while it looks like capacity, there's actually no bandwidth. Simply no room for anything else. No room to receive, no room to soften, no room to listen, no room to even think straight or be or breathe. And this might look like a boss making high stakes decisions, but without the bandwidth to gain valuable insight, input, or even support from their team, or a partner who seems emotionally unavailable because they're unable to just sit and receive you. And often, no awareness of the effect that lack of bandwidth has upon others, or the ultimate cost of this state of no bandwidth in your work community, in your relationships, and in your life. So, how do we begin to shift this? Well, not by doing more, but by creating the conditions. Basically obvious. By creating the conditions for regulating the nervous system, where we can cultivate the greater capacity. Very simple things. You've already done it this morning. Draw awareness to your breath. Breathe in and out through your nose. And lengthen the exhale specifically. Slow down your movements. Bring awareness to your body and to each of your senses. Soften the gaze and widen your fields of vision. And pause before responding. This is not a practice of one breath, one time. Some of the most powerful times to focus on cultivating nervous system regulation through breath are when you lie your body down at night. I think I've actually come here and given you that talk. Or when you wake up first thing in the morning, allowing the system to settle, get seated, and train it toward regulation over time. None of this is for the sake of seeming in control. It's about becoming aware of your thoughts, maybe those limiting beliefs, agreements made in fear. In fact, these aspects of your very identity that keep shaping your creations. It's about becoming aware of what state you're in and how that state is shaping your reality. And this is where the inner work begins. Not as philosophy, but as practice. To me, the inner work is practical, tangible, functional. It's forgiveness in all of its forms. It's accountability. And it's the willingness to let go. But let go of what? Many things. Letting go of those limiting beliefs. Letting go of those obsolete agreements made in fear. But most especially, letting go of those adaptive identities that keep reinforcing your patterns. You can take it from me, even though I have now released strength as a pillar of my identity. Still a very strong woman, but simply because I am, and no longer because I have to be. And that changes everything. It allows for grace. Grace is what we become when we have the capacity to connect to our truth, come from love, and feel safe to say. When we have the presence to fully feel our emotions, the capacity to stay, and the discernment to know actually how much of a response is actually appropriate in any given circumstance. Because here's another truth. People can only come from where they're at. They can only give what they have, and they can only receive what they can carry. So while you may have the capacity to give deeply, not everyone has the capacity to receive all that you have to give. And when we as the giver don't understand this, we tend to take another's inability to receive as much as we have to give personally. When in fact, it's merely an indication of the state of their nervous system and their capacity. So I'll leave you with this. What if you're not here to do more or to do better, but to become more relaxed and free in the doing? Free from identities you established to survive, free from the patterns that you might still be defending in this moment, free to respond to life consciously instead of reacting from past or from fear, free to learn new things and even become a happier or more expansive version of yourself. Because the next evolution of who you are will not come from holding on tighter, trying harder, or doing more. It'll come from grounding your nervous system, from practicing presence and connection to breath, from unearthing and releasing those adaptive identities that hold you in roles that you had to play early on. Ask yourself now, where might you still be playing a role that once kept you safe and may no longer be required? Not because the adaptation was wrong, but because it may no longer be needed. The natural response of cultivating your own nervous system will be that you have a better understanding of others as well, through the ability to sense the state of their nervous system and their capacity to give and their capacity to receive. This work is as much for the individual as it is for the collective, because we're each responsible for our energetic contribution to the collective field we share. And self-cultivation in its highest form is in service to others. What would it look like if more of us took personal responsibility for that in a marriage, in a family, in the workplace, and in the world? What changes when just one person regulates instead of reacts? What conflicts will never escalate? What misunderstandings simply dissolve? And what could the world be like if enough of us understood the state of our own nervous systems and took personal responsibility for the effect that we have upon each other. Might the collective itself elevate? Might we foster healthy interdependence? Might we become more humane humans? Under the same sky, we are not separate from the landscapes of our lives, our home lives, our community, our workplaces, the public, our state, our nation, and the world beyond. As we each become the change we wish to see in the world individually, we shape the world we see collectively. And I thought that was an idea worth spreading.
Yes.
Thank you.
Woo, woo.